The Shin Megami Tensei series is developed by Atlus and has a huge and rich history. The first game released for the Super Famicom in 1992, but even before this there were two earlier games, Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei 1 and 2, based on the work of Japanese author Aya Nishitani. This demon fusing series has gone on to become very popular amongst RPG fans, having spawned spin-off series as well, including the Persona series, and the fifth main entry in the series is now about to release for the Nintendo Switch, after almost starting to feel like a mythical tale passed down through the ages, following its initial reveal at the same time as the Switch itself back in 2017. Should you let this little demon cause chaos with your backlog, or does it fail to fuse all of its elements together? Thank you to Nintendo for the review code, and now let's find out. Shin Megami Tensei V is a story of the battle between order and chaos. You'll join your protagonist in modern day Tokyo as they make their way back to the dorm after school with their friends. But after what seems to be an earthquake hits, it becomes apparent that there is so much more at stake and you are drawn into a battle between gods and demons. I won't say any more than this on the actual storyline itself, but it's definitely an interesting narrative which takes some dark turns at times and surprised me with the paths it took. It also deals with a few issues a little closer to home, as well as the apocalyptic events unfolding, which I didn't expect, and perhaps sometimes the pacing is a bit off due to this, but I was certainly engaged, and the cutscenes are used to very good effect in this regard too. So Shin Megami Tensei V is of course a turn-based RPG with a monster or demon collecting element. You'll make your way across a number of different settings, running and jumping over obstacles and environmental features as you head towards the objective marker on your map. Getting to this location won't always be straightforward though, as environments may take some navigating due to the aforementioned features which offer a sense of verticality at times and prevent it from being a basic case of moving from point A to point B. Sometimes though you'll need to traverse an actual map, leading your marker to the necessary destination, and there are a number of NPCs to talk to along the way. Some of these NPCs may well offer you side quests, such as defeating a certain number of a particular demon or delivering items for them, and completion of these will land you experience points, currency, and sometimes items for you to use. The other challenge that presents itself to you is the fact that the overworld is teeming with demons, and contact with any of these will initiate combat, which we'll touch on in a moment, and combat will also be needed in order to open the map up further at times owing to huge obstructions called abscesses. These large creatures spawn demons, and striking at the abscess will take you to the combat screen. A battle against a particular demon set will then unfold, and success will see the abscess destroyed, allowing you to move on further and reach previously inaccessible areas. This would be a good time to talk through combat then, as it is a huge part of the game. In terms of basic battle mechanics, it's a fairly traditional JRPG, with each character in your party taking a turn to attack the enemy using one of the moves from their repertoire. Each move will use a specific amount of your MP, and defeating all enemies on the playing field will net you XP and money. Gain enough XP and your characters will level up and learn new moves. Where things differ are in terms of the options available to you in building a party and how you do it. Recruiting demons to your party in the Shin Megami series is not about besting them in battle or capturing them, you must negotiate with them during battles. If you reach an agreement with them, the battle will end and they will join your team. If not, your go is over and the enemy will instead have their turn. This is just the beginning though. Spread across the land are portals known as Leyland Founts. These serve a number of purposes. They allow you to save your game, fast travel to other founts that you have discovered, and give you access to the store where you can buy and sell wares, but they are also where you can access the world of shadows. This is where the fun really begins, as here is where you can access demon fusion. For those that have never played the series before, this basically gives you the opportunity to take 2, sometimes 3 of your demons in your party and fuse them together to create a new, stronger demon. You are able to choose some of the moves from the demons being fused to add to the new demon's moveset, and because of this, recruiting a new demon is twice as exciting. You have the potential of what they could bring to your team, but you always want to go back to the world of shadows and see whether they can be used as part of a fusion. You have to be of a certain level to fuse particular demons, and you can register any demons you have exactly as they are, meaning you can then purchase them back in that state if you want them back in your team. There's more than this though, as within the world of shadows you also have access to essence fusion and miracles. Essences of demons can be found throughout the land or are sometimes given to you by the demons themselves upon them levelling up, and having a demon's essence allows you to take a move of theirs and teach it to another demon or to your protagonist. Miracles are skills that your hero can learn and are broken into 4 categories. Some are more practical, such as giving you more demon slots or an additional move slot, whereas others allow you to improve the potential of your character for learning higher tier moves for any of the move categories, such as physical, fire, ice, etc. To activate miracles, you must have a currency known as glory, which can be found hidden around the world or is awarded for finding hidden creatures known as Mimon. This all gives you so much scope in how you grow your team and deal with difficult enemies or problems. For example, I became very stuck on the first boss, but after using fusion to create a demon with a heal capability and one that could put enemies to sleep, I used these 2 skills in a new strategy and won. The next issue I encountered was a boss that was strong in the force element, something that my protagonist was particularly weak against, so I learnt a miracle that allowed you to take elemental affinities as well as moves from demon essences and gave myself a resistance to that particular element, making the battle much more manageable. I absolutely loved having these avenues to go down when things felt impossible, being able to genuinely change strategy, and some of the bosses hit incredibly hard, so you'll need to have a plan B at these times. My only grievance is that for all of this freedom, it still does come down to grinding a lot of the time. Maybe not in the traditional sense of your team that you want to make stronger, but it might be to level up new demons who are not quite strong enough yet. It may be to level yourself up to a point where you are given access to stronger demons, or it might be to earn money to be able to negotiate with demons, and so on. Obviously the grind is a big part of JRPGs, but I just found it a bit of a shame that as much as my victories in the face of adversity had come through strategic change on the surface, they were still underpinned by such a huge need to grind. I just felt it lessened my accomplishment a tad. That being said though, this feeling was quickly superseded by the exhilaration of moving on to see the further trials and tribulations that awaited me. It's a game that wants to make you work for any success you have. The first few hours are pretty tough, the aforementioned grind is there, plus a lot of quality of life features are introduced quite a few hours later. But what that does is lead to that feeling of getting stronger and being able to explore with less fear of death. Even though enemies obviously get much stronger as you go on, you almost feel battle hardened due to those difficult first few hours. The controls work as you would expect, with everything menu based, be it in or out of battle, kept simple, and character movement makes traversal of the world easy for the most part. Perhaps a few jumps to particular platforms were a little awkward, but they were never a real issue. Gameplay is incredibly compelling, recruiting and fusing demons in particular is a huge amount of fun, and the number of options in terms of shaping your team keeps things fresh. It's very grind heavy at times and a few quality of life features take a while to make an appearance, but gameplay gets 18 out of 20. Controls do what they need to do to support the player, and they also score 18 out of 20. When it comes to the visuals, characters have a strong anime vibe, which fits well, but the stars of the show are most certainly the demons. There are a huge array to discover, many of which I recognise from my previous experience with the series, although a good few were new to me, and I love how inspiration is taken from myths and folklore tales from all over the world. I also love how these myths are incorporated into the game, appearing on loading screens or accessible from the character menus. They add a huge amount to the game in terms of world building. Talking of the world, and the environments themselves range from the Tokyo high school your character frequents to the dystopian scenes of the Netherworld. Even within this realm though, I liked the contrast between areas. Although you will see a lot of the same types of assets, abandoned cars, bridges and dilapidated buildings for example, the use of colour behind each place is used to great effect to distinguish one from the other, and they set a completely different mood because of this. You have the almost beautiful desolation of the sand-swept areas, the gloomy and eerie blues of the midnight hour, and the almost putrid red and purples that give a real sense of the doomsday clock striking 12. Performance wise, whilst things are smooth and I didn't experience any stuttering at all, the game does suffer from quite noticeable pop-in as you make your way across different areas and landscapes. This can range from smaller objects such as grass or rocks to much larger boulders, lampposts and textures on cars. This is a shame, as I did mention the very positive effect of these backdrops, and this just pulls you out of the moment every so often. In handheld mode it's a similar story, although the drop in resolution also leads to a slight smear to visuals. It's not a big deal, and a large number of my hours of playtime were done in handheld mode, and by this point I was only really noticing it when making the transition from one way of playing to the other. In terms of the audio, it's used to support these shifts in tone, with the score ranging from high octane to melancholic as and when the need arises. Voice acting is used to very good effect with a memorable cast of characters, and the cutscenes are of a very high quality because of this. A couple of the voices are a little irritating, but the hits definitely outweigh the misses. This does lead to my biggest gripe with the audio though. This is another game that employs the use of a silent protagonist. Now I've mentioned this a couple of times in other games, and I assume the thinking is to have the protagonist as more of a clean slate. They could be anyone, they could be you, I mean you name them at the start after all. But as games become more grandiose in scale and have a full cast of voice actors, all of whom are conversing about the cataclysmic event that endangers the world as we know it, it's so incredibly off-putting when your character's contribution to this discussion is to nod their head occasionally. Now I think I know how Matthew Corbett must have felt when talking to Sooty. Visuals blend that unmistakable anime look with a world of myths and legends, although the experience is marred with some fairly heavy popping at times, and they score 17 out of 20. Audio is strong and supports the visuals incredibly well, with just a few missteps with the voice acting, or lack thereof in one case, letting things down a tad. It scores 18 out of 20. Shin Megami Tensei V costs £49.99 and regional equivalents are on your screen now. Whilst this is a premium price, this is a game that will take you a very long time to get through, and although in terms of basic combat mechanics is similar to most other games in the genre, the classic demon negotiation system and the fusion opportunities it lends itself to make it a refreshing change and open up possibilities for a completely different challenge on subsequent playthroughs. Production values are high, the cutscenes enhance the cinematic feel, and the story surprised me at times in terms of the direction it took, even if its pacing is a little uneven. It's the pop-in and lack of voice acting for the protagonist that just let this side down a tad, but you'll still more than get your money's worth as long as you are up for a challenge and are in it for the long haul. Value gets 19 out of 20. To conclude, Shin Megami Tensei V is more of the classic gameplay that the series has served up over the years. It's been modernised with larger areas to explore and navigate, and has an intriguing story supplemented by quality cutscenes. The many intricacies relating to the battling system are what elevate this series and this game in particular, and I can say with strong conviction that this is one of the best JRPGs available on the Switch. Fans of the series or the genre in general owe it to themselves to give this one a go. Shin Megami Tensei V gets a SwitchUp score of 90%. Thank you everybody for watching this review, I hope you enjoyed it. Please do remember to leave a like if you did. Will you be picking this one up? I know it's been a long time coming since that initial reveal so many years ago. Please do let us know your thoughts and feelings in the comments section. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.
Heading in that direction will take you further away.